Okay, this might be the last video, at least the last one on the chain rule. So let's just go right into some examples here. So first question is to find f double prime of x and evaluate it. So again, that notation means find the derivative twice or find the second derivative. So first derivative has two links of the chain. First link is the trig function. That's the outer part here. So derivative of sine is cosine. So f prime of x can be cosine of stuff, and the stuff here is 3x, times the derivative of stuff, and the derivative there is 3. All right. So that 3 is a coefficient that we can write in front. So we could just really write it as 3 cosine 3x. I do not need the product rule here because that number in front is not a expression, an algebraic expression. It's just a coefficient. So when I take the second derivative, I'm going to again apply the chain rule here. So the derivative of 3 cosine would be negative 3 sine of stuff times the derivative of stuff. So our final answer for this, for the second derivative here, is negative 9 sine of 3x, and that's because the 3's here can multiply together. All right, off to a little bit more of an abstract idea here. Functions defined inside of other functions. So g prime of x, for example, a, is going to be f prime of, so the outer part is f, so f prime of stuff times the derivative of stuff, so 5 f prime of 5x. Same idea here for g of x. On example b, we have g prime is going to equal outer function's derivatives f prime of x cubed times the derivative of x cubed, which is 3x squared. So again, you could leave it like that, or you could write it as 3x squared times f prime of x cubed. Okay, displacement of an object in harmonic motion on the end of a spring is given by this elaborate equation. So determine the position of the object when t is equal to pi over 6. So let's just go ahead and plug in pi over 6. So I'll do this by hand here. So we have the half times the cosine of 4 times pi over 6, which reduces to 2 pi over 3, minus a half times the sine of 4 pi over 6, again, which reduces to 2 pi over 3. So if we go ahead and evaluate these, half times the cosine of 4 pi over 6, the cosine of essentially 2 pi over 3, second quadrant, is going to be negative. So this comes out to be negative a half times another half, so we get negative a fourth, minus half times the cosine, the sine of 4 pi over 6 or 2 pi over 3. So that one is going to come out to be negative a half times radical 3 over 2. So we get negative radical 3 over 4. And we can leave it like that, or we could write it as one fraction. We'll just write it as that. I guess if we wanted to put units on it, it'd be feet. Find the velocity. So velocity is the derivative of position or displacement. It even says it there in the note. Didn't read. Find the velocity of the object at any time. So that's just going to be y dy dt. So that's the derivative of the expression. So the derivative of half cosine 4t. Using the chain rule, we're going to have derivative of cosine is negative sine. So we have negative half sine 4t times 4 minus derivative of cosine of 4, sine is cosine, so negative a half cosine of 4t times 4. And I guess I could multiply together the negative a halves and the 4's and just call it negative 2 sine 4t minus 2 cosine 4t. All right, find the velocity when t is equal to pi over 6. Now we're putting in pi over 6 again into this. We're going to have negative 2 times the sine of 4 pi over 6, which I'll just write again as a reduced fraction, minus 2 cosine of 4 pi over 6. Again, I'll write the reduced fraction here. So if I do that, for this one, we have negative 2 times radical 3 over 2. So negative 2 radical 3 over 2. And if we plug in that negative 2 times negative a half is going to be positive a half. I'm sorry, positive 1. And I guess I could have reduced this, right? Negative 2 over 2 is really just negative radical 3. So negative radical 3 plus 1. Okay, so let's go to this page. H prime of 1, and H is defined as F times G. So this is a product rule question. Okay, so upon further examination, I realized that A and B are a repeat of a question earlier on the packet, so I'm just going to copy and paste those answers here. So part C, though, and D are chain rule questions. So P prime of X is going to be F prime of G of X times G prime of X, and for T prime of X, we're looking at the reverse of that. So we have G prime of F of X times F prime of X. So in the first one, we're doing P prime of 6 and T prime of 7. So we're doing the derivatives of some of these, we're plugging in slopes. So F prime of G of 6, I'm replacing the 6 there. So G again is the thicker curve. G of 6 and 7 right there. So G of 6 is 2. And so F prime of 2. So we have F prime of 2 times G prime of 6. So F prime of 2. Now, what's going on right there? We have an issue with that, don't we? F prime of 2, this guy, is undefined because it is not differentiable. Let's try T prime of 7. So G prime of F of 7, F prime of 7. So we need to go right there. F of 7 is, looks like, I don't know, 1, 2, 3.5. So we are looking at G prime 3.5 times F prime of 7. Well, F prime of 7 is the slope there, which looks like negative a half. And so G prime of 3.5, so we need to find 3.5. And that's going to be right here. And the slope of the thicker curve there is up 2 over 3, so it's 2/3. So 2/3 times negative a half, which it's cross canceling. We get negative a third for D. All right, here's the last one.